Cougar Nation, we're back with another episode of the ALX Press Box. Today we are joined by the ALX Empire's own head coach, Sean Moistener. How you doing, Coach?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Good to see you. Good to see you. How you hanging in during these times of shutdown?
Staying busy. You know, when you have a 4 and a 7-year-old, they don't let you relax at all. So
not at all. Not at all. I got one 4-year-old, so I know what you're talking about. We're also joined today by two of our student moderators. We have Naya Herbert. She is our resident expert. How you doing, Naya?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Are you still down in sunny Florida?
I am in Florida. Yeah.
We still jealous. We still jealous. And joining us for the first time is our own rock star, Gwen Douglas. How you doing, Gwen?
I'm doing great. Just trying to stay busy and not bored during this quarantine.
Well, a little bit about Gwen, y'all. Gwen just won an award. She tell us about the prize you just told us about.
So it's a Washington Youth Tour, and Greystone sponsors 5 students from around their region, and they serve like about 8 counties around us included. And so we had to study this booklet that they gave for us, and then we took I think it was like a 60-question test and write an essay, and then the 5 students with the top scores were chosen. And we're going to go to Washington, D.C. this summer for about a week, all expense paid trip. And it's with students from all over the nation, not just Georgia.
Uh-oh. Low Wi-Fi connection. Low Wi-Fi connection. She's going to jump back in a minute. You broke up for a minute, Gwen, but we got you back. We see Coach's big girl behind him.
She is.
She's always welcome. This is a very organic scene.
She likes to be part of the
producers let the babies come on. Remember, Mr. Small always says, ALX, Alexander, we're a professional family. Family is everything to us. So we're going to kick it off with a few questions this morning, Coach. I'm going to let Naya jump in and get it going.
Okay, Coach. So how has your journey been at Alexander? Like, did you graduate from Alexander, or how did you find out about Alexander?
No. I am a military brat, so I have been all over the country with my dad being transferred. I actually went to school at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, and then ended up in Georgia because my mother's family's from Georgia. And I found out about Alexander because I was the head coach at North Cobb, and the principal at the time at Alexander was Rob Brown, and Rob wrestled for Carson Newman University. I wrestled for the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, and we were rival schools. So when Rob found out that I was looking, he called me, and we have a high amount of respect for one another. So he asked me to come in for an interview, and I did, and I loved Alexander, and I haven't left. It's been 15 years.
Wow.
Awesome.
How long have you been coaching at Alexander?
This 15 years.
15 years, so every year you've been there.
Oh, yeah.
So what's your favorite thing about being a coach?
Good Lord. Well, I am a wrestling junkie. So being able to stay involved in the sport as a coach kind of feeds that passion I have. But probably just getting a chance to be around the kids outside of a classroom environment, because the classroom environment's a little bit more strict, I guess you would say. And you get to really get to know the kids and the personalities. So that's the most fun thing about coaching.
So let me tell y'all a story, y'all. So you know, I always tell y'all I'm not an athlete. I was a band guy, quite academic, if I might say so myself. I was, I was into the books. So I went to the wrestling duels down in Macon. All right. So if you can imagine going to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and everybody there wants to fight everybody there. It was on 10 the whole time I was there, man. I just felt like I needed to stand in the corner with my back to the wall and be ready. I thought I was going to have to fight at any given moment. That was the intensity. Everybody was screaming. everybody was jacked up, like body slamming going on, and everybody yelling squeeze. I still don't really know what that means. Coach, I'm sure you'll tell us, but the intensity level at a wrestling match is like nothing I've ever seen. Talk about what, is that real? Is that manufactured? What's going on, Coach?
It is a very unique environment in the sense of there's a level of intensity that you're trying to reach that makes it appear as though it is a life or death situation. But the great thing is then you see the kids walk off afterwards and they're hanging out, they're telling stories to one another. A lot of times you'll see them working out together and they're on rival schools. So it's a really special atmosphere. The intensity is definitely there because it is an environment where it is the most organic that can be because it's one-on-one. You're trying to demonstrate a certain level of dominance over another person, and there is nowhere to kind of hide in that atmosphere. So it's very personal.
Okay.
Have you had any inspirational moments during your coaching years?
Inspirational?
Yes.
I mean, it goes from winning the state title that we did in 2010 and 2017 to watching a kid that we had a kid last year that didn't win a match out of 30 matches. He was 0-30. And then to watch him this year come back and place at his first tournament and to watch the light bulb go off and him go, wow, I can do this, was really special because that's the kind of improvement you want to see. And you see that improvement not only on the mat, but you see it in their personal lives too, where they aren't the shy kid anymore. They kind of come out of a shell. So it's really special. No, I'm not going to lie to you. Winning a state title is very special.
Right.
But watching an individual kid come out of his shell and kind of develop his own personality is really special to watch.
Okay.
Yeah. So what is it like being a coach? If you could describe yourself or the things that you learned as being a coach, how would you say it?
It's a lot of work. It is a lot of sacrifice, but there's a lot of reward. The most difficult part of coaching is not every individual is the same. And in order to treat them fairly, you got to learn how to treat the individual. And I would say oh my gosh, I've been a coach for 25 years and I'm still figuring it out. Because there are certain kids that you can yell at and it motivates them. There are certain kids that you have to hug on and it motivates them. And there's certain kids that you've got to let them do their own thing and it motivates them. And the trick is to try to find out what motivates each kid to be their best. And their best is not always going to be a state championship. Their best might be a region championship. Their best might be winning a varsity spot. Their best might be being the number 2 guy and being supportive of everybody else. So you just got to figure it out.
Okay.
That's awesome. Gwen, you want to jump in?
Yeah. So what do you think, like, you told us like a little bit about like some stories about like qualities and like tradespeople like you've seen in your students. So what do you think, like wrestling in specific, what do you think like the most important like trait that your athletes have learned that they can take into like their real life experiences?
I would probably say two things that are the most important to me, but at the same time, I think it's important to them: hard work and toughness. Because wrestling is one of the least glamorized sports there is. There's nothing glamorous about it. In order to be successful, you have to work. There is nothing fun about somebody double-legging you. You're going to get grabbed. They're going to drive their shoulder into your stomach. They're going to pick you up, and they're going to drive you into the mat. And to get good at that, you have to do it over and over and over again, and that's not fun. So the work part of it teaches them to be prepared for the work part of life. And then the toughness part of it is getting up and going back to it over and over again And I think in life, it's real important that we are tough. And it's not just a physical toughness, it's emotional. Because you're going to have relationships don't work out, whether it be a girlfriend, boyfriend, or a teacher, student, or a parent and child. It's going to be a relationship that doesn't work all the time. And you got to be tough enough to withstand all that'll be thrown at you emotionally, even physically or anything else. And so there's a lot to be said to being tough in a situation. And I think that's important. And I think that and hard work is something that you learn in wrestling.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So Coach, I've been noticing that, on Twitter. First of all, what's your Twitter handle so we can make sure we follow you?
At ALX Wrestling.
At ALX Wrestling. Remember, we talked about branding. We talked about the growth and development, the inspiration behind ALX and the ALX Empire. Catch us in that episode with Coach Cochran. Speaking of that, what is it like working with your brother? Like, did y'all, Gwen and Nia, did y'all know that they're brothers?
I think I've heard that before.
I didn't know until like my second year.
Yeah.
But then I see the resemblance.
What's it like working with your brother, Coach?
So first of all, same mom, same dad. The story that has to be told so everybody knows is that when we were in college, my grandmother passed away, and my brother was very close to her. And her name was going to die off because there were no more Cochrans. My uncle passed away. My mother and her sisters all got married, and they all took on their husband's name, so the name was going to die. So my brother came in at 19 years old, came into our apartment and said, "Hey, I have my name changed." And I laughed. I thought he was joking. He goes, "No, I'm serious. I got my name changed to Cochran." I was like, "Yeah, whatever." So he pulled out his driver's license. He goes, "See?" And I went, "Wow, you did." I was like, "All right, that's cool." My dad didn't talk to him for like 2 weeks because he didn't tell anybody. He just did it. And then called everybody and told him. And it took my dad 2 weeks to get over the shock of it. And then he was all right with it. It's been special. Not a lot of people know. Coach Cochran and I have lived in the same town for 43 of his 45 years. Like, we've always been together. So it would be super weird not to be in the same town. But when you coach with your brother, it's a dog fight every day.
He agrees.
Because Coach Cochran teaches art. I teach English, different. Coach Cochran's built like a soup can, and I'm built like a stick, which is different. But I wouldn't do it any other way. He's my best friend, and getting a chance to coach my best friend, to be around my best friends, is a good thing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I wanted to go back to your Twitter post. We're kind of trying, everybody's dying to get back to business. I saw one of our football players last night, Jomir Lashley. Hope you're working out at home. But he put on Twitter, "Please, let's just get back to business." And I think that pretty much captured what a lot of our athletes and coaches are feeling right now. But I see you every day posting something very motivational, inspirational to your athletes. The first thing you do is talk about them being students and say, do your digital learning activities. No. And then you talk about them being athletes and getting better and getting stronger. And you list like a workout regimen. Talk to us about, how do you do that? Why do you do that? What drives you to, try to keep your athletes motivated like that?
Well, I live what I preach. So when I get up in the morning, after I have a protein bar and a cup of coffee and get the girls up, or they get me up, I work out. And then after I work out, I set aside time to read and work with them on their homework. I think it's important for our athletes to stay in as much of a routine as they can. As much of a routine as they can. It'll help them to not only stay in shape for what they're trying to accomplish, but it'll allow them to make it through this period of time that is difficult. So the routine can help them survive the quarantine, if that's what you want to make it out seem. Wrestlers are the most prepared for something like this because a lot of things we do, we have to do on our own. We have to do within the confines of an individual concept. So
Okay.
I just try to keep them motivated to do the things that are going to make them a better person, because after they finish wrestling, I want them to continue on in learning, and I want them to continue on in working out and doing the things that are going to make them better.
Awesome. Well, Coach, listen, I've been challenging all of our interviewees, if you will, our coaches, I want you to leave us, take us home with something that, something very motivational, inspirational. It could be spiritual, it could be athletic, it could be a riddle. I don't really have any ground rules for it, but just take us home with something that you like for your athletes to remember right now, or something to encourage the world in this tough time.
I think there's three things that we live by in the wrestling program, and that's outwork, out hustle, and out tough. And I think those three things apply to life. I think they apply to the wrestling mat. I think they apply to the classroom. I think they apply to your relationships. Outwork, out hustle, out tough. Those are three words you can live by. And if you do those three things, you can be successful in anything: classroom, hallway, home, or the wrestling mat.
Awesome, Coach. Listen, thank you so much for stopping by this episode of the ALX Press Box, Coach. Much success to you and the ALX Empire in the future in our new region. I know y'all ready to beat up some new people. And I'll be there next year yelling squeeze, even though I know that's not a real thing to do, because y'all teach us how to cheer for wrestling matches. But it
I
sounds
will
tough.
show you what it means to squeeze one day.
Say that again?
I will show you one day what it means to squeeze one day. I'll come by the cafeteria.
So check this out. Coach is going to end up in HR because I can't fight. But anyway, thank you again, Coach. We love you, man. Thank you. Keep up the good work.
All right. ALX for life.
All right.